And welcome to the BCM podcast. I am today's host, Brad. Of course, my top left is Charles Blain, CJ Blain 10 on X. Michael Searle to my top right, M Searle ATX. He doesn't live there, but that's what he says because he's a poser on X. Guys, how's it going? This is the BCM podcast. Like and subscribe. Click the button, notify. We're getting more subscribers and we're getting some traction on TikTok. People love us and hate us, as you might expect.
It's a good problem to have.
Indeed.
Yeah, they really didn't like your assessment of the Idaho 4, Charles. Really didn't like it. They thought it was full of factual errors. We had, and Dateline NBC producer came up in our mentions and said, there's a lot of factual errors, and a lot of this information was available in 2 years ago.
I clap back for you, Charles.
Well, thank you. And the reason, just so everyone knows I didn't say anything, is because I am a big fan of Dateline. It is probably my top favorite show, and on Friday and Saturday evenings I will sit home and watch 3 or 4 episodes of it. And so I just was not going to engage in that conversation. And yeah, maybe the facts weren't all there. I never said they were. I was like, here, this is the summary of what happened. I was just throwing it out there. So
okay, but hold on. My question to him that he didn't answer was, certainly Dateline tees up episodes or segments with previously available information. Surely they do that.
Yes.
Yes, so you're a bitch, Dateline producer.
right.
Anyhow.
Knock it up out of hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's your favorite show. Okay, let's talk. Trending topic. Kanye West has come out with a new hit single, and Azalea Banks even is chiming in. Charles, what do you think about Azalea Banks?
Oh man, Azalea, the ancestors send Azalea some of the most vile attacks. The way that she will craft some attacks on people are just absolutely wild. If you go back and look at her attack, they're just remarkable. Azalea Banks is great. I'm a big fan of hers. She's a little crazy, but I like her.
I don't think I can play it. But it's a bunch of black people. Maybe 24, maybe a little bit more, standing there. I'm looking at it. I'm not going to well, I guess I could show it without the audio, perhaps. I don't know if I can do that. Anyhow, so they're standing around like this, and they have some animal pelts and things, a very primal look. And he first starts rapping about how he's a rich in person, and he can't see his kids, and there's the system's against him. And then they start all saying Heil Hitler, and then soft A. Charles, you're our resident rap expert, not because of the color of your skin, mind you, but because you just are. Care to share your thoughts?
I did not listen to it. Did not watch the video.
What? You didn't watch it?
We've all been bombarded with so much ridiculous Kanye stuff over the past. I guess it's now been 10 years since. Was it 10 years when he first launched his run for president, or was that whenever it was? We've been ever since that moment when he had that concert / presidential announcement where he said that he encouraged Kim to get an abortion and she didn't. Everything has been downhill since then. And so I've not really paid any attention to it. And increasingly, as time has gone on, I've paid less attention to it. So I can't anymore. As big of a Kanye fan as I was, I just can't.
Well, here's Azalea Banks saying Kanye is back on track to being the most legendary artist across all mediums again, I fear. Does she fear like it's not good, like the song's not good, or she thinks she's afraid it's going to be really popular? I don't know. I didn't see this coming to a head like this, a very masterful serve. Here we go. And then she goes on to say a lot of other stuff, outrage, whatever. Kanye and Drake Watch the Throne too. So I don't know. Azalea, I mean.
Well, Azalea is very similar to Kanye in the sense that she's a very, very good artist who cannot get
Nazi?
She's a very good artist who cannot get out of her own way. And she then gets in. She's the reason her music does not do well, because she's always got something crazy to say or she's doing something crazy.
I like her music, though.
Right. That's the point.
And look, this is what Clint Russell has to say from Liberty Lock Pod. You don't have to like Kanye West or agree with him on anything, but I'll tell you one thing with absolute certainty. It was a terrible idea to try and cancel the best producer of this generation. That song will own this summer.
Wait, is the song good? Like, you guys, is the song actually good?
I mean, am I allowed to have an opinion, or is anybody, not me personally, anybody allowed to have an opinion, a positive opinion about that song in today's climate? If I like it, will I get hundreds of thousands of dollars, a la Shiloh Hendrix?
Who is Shiloh Hendrix?
What do you mean? Are you allowed to like a song? Of course, you're allowed to like a song.
But it says Heil Hitler in word.
But he's just trolling, right? He just wants attention. He's saying, "Look at me, look at me, look at me." He's trying to get attention.
No, I don't think. I think Kanye's like, he's got like a lot of issues going on. Like I don't think it's just attention. Like I think he is. Some of this stuff is for attention, but Kanye does have a lot of issues. Like a lot of issues in terms of like his mental capacity or his mental state of mind.
Okay.
So that could still be him screaming for people to look at him.
Fair.
There is a segment of people on the right, and dare I say in the black, not exclusively in the black community, there's one of my friends went down this rabbit hole of Hitler's not as bad as as history tells us about him. And like, if you keep going down that rabbit hole, I think you get to the place where Kanye is. And I don't know why people go down that rabbit hole. It's not intriguing to me at all, but I know people in my sphere, and then I've seen it on Twitter that people
Tucker.
are down. No, not Tucker.
He had that guy on.
No.
Go
away.
We had this fight on this show.
This was already settled on Joe Rogan's Dave Smith, Douglas Murray debate. Your side lost. No. But anyway, Daryl Cooper produces hours and hours and hours of content. They took one little thing that he said that he may have been trolling out of context in order to rile everybody up. The dude's not saying Hitler was a hero. He was being. We've already talked about this.
Yes, and I agree. He didn't. I wouldn't put his words as far as saying Hitler was a hero. I would not do that.
And that's not the rabbit hole I'm referring to.
Oh,
there's a deeper, darker one.
Ooh.
That's like you can only get on like BitChute and 4chan. The kids are going down.
Whose kids? Black kids?
Michael's kids.
Black kids don't be doing that.
No, it's like Kyrie. Remember the whole Kyrie controversy?
Kyrie Irving?
Yeah.
What did he do? I'll find out.
I remember the controversy. I remember there being controversy. I don't remember what it was though. But I'll just say the song starts out with "These guys took my kids from me."
Yeah.
And he has no way to take it out. He has no way to get his kids back. They like drug him and like they demean him and all this other stuff. And so now he's going after them with this song. I don't know if it's, maybe, sure. He's a world famous rapper artist, perhaps one of the most famous. Isn't it all for attention?
I think so.
But that just because there's the intent of attention doesn't mean that he doesn't genuinely believe it.
How could we know?
Let's get him on the show. Let's get our booker on that. No problem. I think that you're friends with some of his friends, Michael. Is that right?
His former friends?
Right.
Former friends.
We could get him. So, yeah, that's Kanye West's new song. I don't know. I kind of feel like the imagery and the fact that it's Kanye, I think that he's going to really grasp hold of some black youth and black culture. And I think that, I don't know if Nazism, is that what this is? I don't know. It's certainly it says Heil Hitler, but is he a Nazi? I don't know. But I think there's going to be some interesting aspects of this in the black culture over the summer.
I just don't know that if you say that you can like distance yourself from Nazism. Like, I just feel like once you kind of cross that line.
I know, but I understand what you mean, but I don't know. Is he like a devout Nazi? Is he I don't know. I don't know what he knows. Like Michael said, he could just be saying this for attention. He could be saying it because he just does not like Jewish people, and he knows that this really gets them going and like makes them mad, but doesn't believe in any of it. I don't know.
But regardless of the degree in which you believe it, if you were going to play into that, I think it's all in the same bucket at that point.
Okay.
Right? Like if you're Jim Jones and you don't actually believe in the thing you're spewing, but you're telling people to drink the Kool-Aid, like you're still a part of that. Like, you're still kind of crazy.
Well, I think that he has a different historical take on what happened in World War II and leading into World War II. So I don't think he would accept that he's part of or aligning himself with that because that story isn't true. I think that's what he would say.
Well, I don't know. It's a bold move by Kanye West, and I guess we'll wait and see how the culture either tosses it in the trash can, the bin of history, or grasps onto it over the summer. We shall see. Michael, you're going to love this. Today is May 8th. May 6th was the what year anniversary was it? Let me see. 9th anniversary of this wonderful little email that you're going to love, Michael. From Hillary Clinton, she orders a hot dog with no bun. Derek Joffrey of Hillary Clinton Foundation says, "Hi, everyone. Please send me your lunch orders and I'll pick everything up. Thanks." Hillary Clinton orders a hot dog with no bun. So, anyhow, let's talk about Alcatraz, shall we?
She definitely did not have a hot dog, FYI.
I mean, she's on that keto kick in 2016. She was experiencing some health issues, falling, collapsing. Maybe she took keto a little bit too quickly and was losing her blood sugar was dropping, and that's why she was collapsing. You don't know, Michael. Anyhow, let's talk about Alcatraz. Donald Trump has talked about reopening Alcatraz, the famous island, not album. I'm sure there's an album named Alcatraz. What? Have you guys been to Alcatraz, Michael? My guess is that you have.
Sure have.
Charles?
No, I've never really been to California, so no. But yes, there is an album. I think it's Johnny Cash has an album recorded. I don't know if it's called Alcatraz, but it's
Folsom Prison?
Oh yeah, never mind. Guess I'm wrong.
So Donald Trump has, I guess, pitched the idea. I don't know. Is this one of the ideas that he has where it's not really like he just kind of like says shit on his Truth Social or social media and people run with it as if it's like the gospel and that's definitely what he's going to do? I'm not really sure. But he wants to reopen it. And I think you guys have some strong opinions about this. I've been to Alcatraz, by the way. Thanks for asking.
Cool. No, I think he's serious. He had Stephen Miller out there talking about it on Fox News, and I think it's a symbolic gesture that seems like a good idea for about 1 second. Is our current prison population and conditions in U.S. prisons not enough to send a signal to people they don't want to go to jail? We still have 20% of the world's prisoners, but are 4% of the world's population. And beyond that, like, we don't have endless money to just rebuild a prison to make a symbolic point. We got other stuff we could spend money on. This is like New Deal politics creeping into the Trump administration. We got to throw this idea in the trash and get to more pressing issues.
Charles, go.
I absolutely agree. So first of all, his supporters who've been on TV talking about this have been kind of lumping in a lot of different things. They're talking about redoing Alcatraz and Rikers and this not distinct, making sure there's a distinction between the fact that Rikers is a local jail and Alcatraz is not. So I thought that was really interesting. Then I looked it up. At max capacity, it held 260 people. And when they shut it down in 1963, they estimated it would cost $4 million to renovate it to make sure it was still able to be used. That's $4 million in 1963 money. I did an inflation calculator. It's like $42 million in today's money. And that's if it was still in the condition it was in 1963. It's not. And other things are already done.
It's been, I think they've kind of maintained it a little bit because it's now a tourist attraction, but
yeah, but not for livable conditions.
It's never been livable. It was Alcatraz.
It was livable.
Livable. Were they living? Is that what you think of people in prison? They're living.
One of the things I was reading about it is they had to barge in fresh water every week because it's an island, and so those kind of things, and any island, it costs a lot of money to bring in food and water and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just unnecessarily expensive. If you want to do it, go build it in the middle of like Death Valley. Go build a prison there.
It's not Hawaii though. It's right across it's in the Bay or whatever in San Francisco. Come on, it can't be that expensive.
Some of the most expensive real estate in the country.
Yeah, but not Alcatraz. No one's trying to build on Alcatraz. That's federal land. It's already owned. I'm saying it's not expensive. It's not that expensive to get water to it. Anyhow, I go for it, Trump. I say open that bitch up. Spruce it up or don't. Who cares? Just make sure the bars work. You know what I mean? It all depends on who's going there. Am I right? If you're going to send some guy in San Francisco that's, peddling grams of weed into Alcatraz, okay, come on. That's not cool. But, all these people that are supposedly one day we're going to know who's on the Epstein list. And, there are the people that locked our kids away and, lied about the COVID shot. Are those people going to go to Alcatraz? I'm for it. I'll take it.
Oh, leave it to the government to take a revenue generating asset and turn it into a money suck. Like we don't have enough prisons.
Here's Donald Trump on Alcatraz.
To get the idea for reopening Alcatraz. Just an idea I've had, and I guess because the judges, so many of these radicalized judges, they want to have trials for every single, think of it, every single person that's in our country illegally, that came in illegally. That would mean millions of trials, and it's just so ridiculous what's happening. And it's long been a symbol, Alcatraz, of whatever it is. I mean, it's a sad symbol.
It's a symbol of whatever it is, guys. That's the important point here.
I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with pursuing that type of facility, but like, why go to one that is already decrepit? You can buy an island off the coast of like any of the northeastern states for a reasonable amount of money and build one from the ground up. You can build one in the middle of the country somewhere that's not surrounded by things for probably a more reasonable price than you would pay to redo Alcatraz. And I also kind of feel like this is just a competition with Bukele in like El Salvador, so that he can have videos of him taking a speedboat to Alcatraz and then like open it up and him walking past like hundreds of guards to go look at these prisoners, just the same way we saw in El Salvador. That's kind of what it feels like.
But why would we need Alcatraz for that? He can go to any of the high security federal prisons that we have now with the worst criminals in it, and he can go take a tour and take pictures. And
but they're not going to look as cool as that one. And the whole thing about that was we built this new prison to house all these horrible people and blah. So I think it's just he wants to recreate that, is what it feels like.
Okay, so take my tax money and do it to create a.
I don't agree with it.
He agrees.
Awesome. That's what I voted for. America first.
Yeah, I think that's what you voted for. I don't know if you're going to get it though, bud. That's a real shame. So I'll save potpourri for just a little bit. I don't think we're quite ready for potpourri. Not yet. I think we need to clear the air, but not yet. We can just go on to Pam Bondi. Guys, I don't know what to think of Pam Bondi. I don't know. But she says this is what she has to say. I hope that this is a clear video.
The FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
Okay, look. I don't know. It looks pretty good in that video to begin with, one. But two, tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. So the one person that can't say anything is the only person that they're like, there's more people, right? Like Stephen Hawking went to the island and was into, was it midgets? Am I making that up? I think that was a thing. Bill Gates, Prince Andrew, many other people on the list. What they did is unknown. I'm not making any accusations, just alleging. The allegations are there. I don't know what it is though. And it's kind of like, it feels like we're getting played a little bit by this Pam Bondi character who was the Attorney General of Florida when Epstein was in Florida. What's going on?
Charles, first?
I mean, you certainly know more about this than I do. Mine is purely opinion based on everything that we've seen and heard, which is I have no faith in them.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, Miss Bondi. But yeah, Brad, you picked out the important point. I see where this is going. In her comments, she made a very telling remark. She said, Epstein is on camera committing the crimes. It's just Epstein. And to me, it seems like there's so much public pressure. They have to do something. But just like the past Epstein coverage, the Maxwell trial, if you watch the Netflix series, it places the sole focus on Epstein himself and his crimes, and it doesn't touch any of the other perpetrators, none of the financial crimes, where he got his wealth from, Les Wexner, his ties to intelligence, who his clients were. None of that is included in any of the coverage or the documentary or the trials. And as an example, JP Morgan Chase just settled in the U.S. Virgin Islands for $365 million with victims. Why are they settling? Why?
An excellent question.
What's that about? Like, so this is bullshit. That's where I'm at. It's bullshit.
I mean, yeah, it's absurd. None of it makes any sense. What is the status of not Virginia? What's her name?
Virginia Giuffre?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
She's in prison?
No, I know, but they haven't had the formal trial. Like, she's not. Has she been convicted? No, right?
Oh yeah, she took a deal.
That happened years ago.
Or no, there was a trial, but didn't she end up taking a deal? No.
I feel like why? I mean, I don't remember it being like heavily publicized. I don't know. But my thing is, I just don't understand why. She's a lot to say. Why are we not getting any? Have we never gotten anything out of that?
I don't know. That's what I thought too. I thought that she would sing and somebody else would have to go down, but for some reason they've been able to keep a rap on her. Yeah, there was a trial, but they contained it was the Southern District of New York that tried her, and they contained it to a very set specific time. It was like, I can't remember the exact dates, but it was like 1992 to 2001 or something like that. And so, but no, she didn't sing at all. So we don't know.
Well, here's Kash Patel talking to Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, Charles's favorite senator. Let's listen.
Person with a brain and a beating heart.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When you think you'll have it done, Kash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that. We're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on.
What?
Did Jeffrey Epstein hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
That's our guy.
Unbelievable.
That's our guy. This is what we voted for.
So just a note, back to Ghislaine Maxwell, because I was deeply curious about like why that just kind of went away. Here's why here's why I couldn't remember, and here's why it probably didn't make a big deal, or as big of a deal as it should have, was because one, like Michael said, she didn't testify. She just decided not to. Then the Twitter account that had like 500,000 followers that was tracking the trial was suspended a couple weeks into the trial, and then COVID happened, and then everybody kind of forgot about it. And then since then, she's been transferred to a women's facility in Florida and is scheduled for release in 2037.
She's doing that Orange is the New Black lifestyle. Did y'all watch that show at all? Do you even know what I'm talking about? Oh, y'all did. Wow. This is the first time anything from television or movies that I've asked about you guys have seen. This is a hallmark moment on the BCM podcast. That's Mark.
One of the kids from my high school was in it. He was one of the cops.
One of the cops. Oof, traitor, am I right? So Kash Patel saying that he believes that Epstein hung himself in his prison cell. Pam Bondi is saying that Epstein, tens of thousands, whatever, videos, pictures of Epstein being a child molester, child rapist, disgusting. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to believe all of this, that it feels like we're going to get played.
We're getting played. They're framing it right now. They're protecting the victims. No, they're not. They're protecting the perpetrators, the Pritzkers, the Les Wexners, the people at JP Morgan who've gone to jail for The people at Abercrombie and Fitch who've gone to jail for child trafficking, none of them happen to be involved in this. Give me a break. This is so ridiculous.
You think all that's connected? That stuff too?
Heck yeah, it's all connected.
Wow.
Fun fact, Charles, one of his first jobs out of high school, he was one of the models that stood outside of Abercrombie and Fitch in the mall.
First of all, if I worked at Abercrombie and Fitch, it would have been in high school because that's when everybody worked at Abercrombie and Fitch. And no, I did not.
Okay.
I've got a story for you guys.
Wait, did you do that?
Michael was recruited to one of those Abercrombie and Fitch parties. Wait, were you a model at Abercrombie and Fitch?
What? Outside?
Not like a
Standing outside?
I'm
shirtless?
I'm embarrassed. Yeah.
Don't be embarrassed. I mean, not a
No,
lot.
I'm kidding. I was 19 in Santa Barbara, California, played college basketball, and I worked at Abercrombie.
Like worked in the store as a cashier, or you stood outside with your shirt off?
Both.
What?
Which is weird in hindsight that they like made kids walk around with their shirts.
I mean,
it was a very fun job. I could tell you some crazy stories about it off air.
His Abercrombie days.
So anyhow, that's it's a little disappointing, I think.
A little. I bet I could find 20 videos of Kash Patel saying Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and now all of a sudden, I think he did.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't the defense be that? Well, now he's in the position of power and he has access to more information, and he's allowed to change his mind, right?
Yeah, he has access to the information that if we start pulling the string on the Epstein thing, a bunch of people that are close to power are going to go down. Yeah, he has access to that information. It was written all over his face. Look at him. He looks like he's cowering like a little child because he knows he's bullshitting.
Cowering like a child. He can't.
I'm sorry, I don't got time for this, Kash Patel.
As we discussed last week, he can't run faster than the women cadets. So I think that you're safe to call him names.
Am I wrong?
No, I think that you're. I mean,
I
think you're right. Yeah,
I'm taking some liberties, sure. But I have to because they're not giving us any information.
Yes, all of it is very suspicious. And yeah, I think that I'm surprised that Senator Kennedy didn't, go after him harder. Like, wait, excuse me, you think that he did hang himself? Like, that seems like red meat for Kennedy.
Yeah.
It seems like red meat for all of them. They've all been saying this for years. And then suddenly everybody's quiet. Because at the end of the day, they all know that it's much broader than that and that people that they know. I mean, those Washington, D.C. circles obviously tie very closely to the New York circles and the Palm Beach circles. And these people know each other. And so to a certain extent, I think a lot of them are willing to make a stink about it until it gets close enough to the people that they know.
This is that scenario where it's like all these guys got into power and they got taken into a room and we're like, yeah, if you tell this is what's going to happen. And so they're not. And Pam Bondi, they're gonna cower.
Another maybe disappointment, Brett Weinstein on Charles's favorite show, Tucker Carlson. Man, you got so many favorites today, Charles. I'm glad to announce them to the world. He says that there's no way to get the mRNA shots off the list because Trump won't let it happen, basically.
I believe that. I don't know if you guys saw the tweet from the FDA that says today the FDA announced that May 22nd, the FDA's Vaccines and Related Biological Products Advisory Committee will meet to publicly discuss and make recommendations on the selection of the 2025-2026 formula for COVID-19 vaccines for use in the United States. So, these meetings are still happening on a regular basis. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think that's far-fetched to believe that he won't ruin those.
But it's like it's Trump that won't let it happen. Like it's not the people around him. Like it's Trump that won't do it. So I just think that's interesting. I mean, I guess he did do. So maybe that's bad Trump. There we go. Bad
when
Trump.
He came up with Operation
All of it.
Like, were we surprised? Like, I mean, I don't think he's ever really shied away from his involvement in the vaccine push. I mean, he said it here.
I think he shied away from it since running again. I don't think he talked about it a lot I think he talked about it during the beginning of this recent campaign, but after a while, I think he shied away.
Shied away meaning he hasn't talked about it or he's distanced himself. I have not heard him distance himself, which is what I mean.
He said some things. I can't remember precisely what he said, but in the beginning of the campaign, to Brad's point, he was like, Operation Warp Speed, I did that. That was amazing. And we saved all these lives. And then in the middle of the campaign, it was like, yeah, we shouldn't have done, like, I shouldn't have let people lock down. I can't remember precisely what he said, but he did seem to tone down his advocacy for what he did during COVID. But so whether Weinstein means Trump himself or the Trump administration, I'm not sure.
So there's bad Trump for you. We'll do good Trump, bad Trump.
All of it's been bad Trump.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, but that's like Cash Patel and Pam Bondi. I know the buck stops here, but yada, yada, yada. Fine. But this is Trump specifically not allow, like, he doesn't want to hear talk, apparently, according to Weinstein. Now, who's Weinstein's sources? I don't know. I'm sure he's part of the IDW. Certainly he has some inside sources, right, guys? So that's bad Trump. Not good. Let's get those off especially the CDC schedule for kids. Come on. If adults want to do that, whatever, I guess, like, that's not, can we meet in the middle at least? Like, I think it should all be gone. But Michael, what's the good Trump? You mentioned it the other day, like earlier. I think you texted.
Pushing back on Israel and war with Iran and stopping bombing the Houthis and trying to get to a deal in Yemen, a deal with the Iranian government. That was good Trump.
Yeah, that is good Trump. Yeah. Good Trump, bad Trump.
I love that stuff.
Yeah,
he fired Mike Waltz because I think Mike Waltz is the type of neocon that just always wants war, and so he kicked him off as his national security advisor. I think he was one of the bigger neocons. It's Marco Rubio.
But hold on. But I think he then turned around and nominated him for U.S. ambassador to the U.S.
I think so.
Yeah, but
I saw that.
But that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different of position in terms of influencing U.S. foreign policy, and he kicked him out. And the speculation is that he was pushing Trump to do things that weren't in the best interests of America, and so he kicked him out as national security advisor. I think that's a positive step. And then he's now in peace talks with Iran, trying to avoid a war, which we know the neocons in both parties really want. So that's good Trump this week. I was very encouraged to see that.
Stay tuned for good Trump, bad Trump next week. Okay. You ready for a little, you want to clear the air a little bit? I think this is just kind of weird. It's almost like I don't believe it. But it says scientists claim that they have discovered a new color no one has seen before. How do you know if no one's seen a color? How do you know that? What do you think? I'll click to the next slide. What do you think it's going to look like? Just get first thing, gut feeling. What do you think? Charles, go.
A shade of brown.
Shade of brown.
That's
okay.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, what the fuck? Weird. Yeah. Michael, pick something else.
Purple.
Purple? Both wrong. It's seafoam green, bitches.
No, that's Olo. That's not seafoam green.
I know this is the new color Olo. I can read, Charles. But this is
Wait, I was trying to read what it said.
Okay, sorry. Ola. A team of scientists claim to have discovered a new color that no human has ever seen before. The research follows an experiment in which researchers in the U.S. had laser pulses fired into their eyes. What? By stimulating specific cells in the retina, the participants claim to have witnessed a blue-green color that scientists have called Olo. The participants claim to have witnessed? How do you know this? Only 5 people have ever seen this color, describing it as now thousands on the BCM podcast. Only 5 people describing it as an incredibly vivid blue-green that's more intense than anything in nature.
Wait, but I'm confused by the end where it says the scientists had this image.
I'll do the next slide.
Closest, so we're not even looking at it.
Unlike normal colors, Olo can't be displayed on screens or printed. So how do we know this is real? How can we verify? There it is. It's seafoam green.
Well, no, that's close to it. That's not it. We've seen that color.
We saw it just now. I don't believe these scientists at all.
That wasn't Olo, though, is the point.
They're making shit up.
Yeah.
Listen, only 5 people ever seen this color. Okay. The research follows an experiment in which researchers in the U.S. had laser pulses fired into their eyes. By stimulating specific cells in the retina, the participants claim to have witnessed a blue-green color. How do you know what they witnessed if you're shining lasers in their eyes? All they say is, yeah, we saw this color we've never seen before. Okay. And then how did they all saw the same color, presumably, like they'll describe it similarly. Fine. Okay. Let's say they saw the same color. And then how do they know what the CYK number is or whatever? How do they know? How do they know that how do they know what it looks like? How does the scientist know what it looks like?
I think so. You know when you go like this really hard, and then you like start to see colors.
Let's all do it at the same time. Ready?
I think it's that. It's kind of something like that where like you just see stuff and you like kind of pick one out like, oh. But yeah, I mean, how do you I think the bigger question is how do you verify that they saw the same color if you cannot reproduce it? And how do you know that they just didn't sit in a room and say we're all going to see a shade of green?
Well, how do you know that they saw? Okay, again, they can all say that we saw this vibrant green-blue color. Okay, and then what's the discovery part? How did the scientists discover that color?
They saw
like
it.
No, they didn't.
Well, yes, they did.
Well, okay, they'll claim that they saw it, and then what happens? Like, what is that? It doesn't make any sense.
They wrote down, "I saw this color," and there we go.
Oh my god!
Hundreds and hundreds of kids have seen this color mixing paints together.
Yep, that's right. So anyhow, I think I always find that sort of scientific story kind of interesting. How do you know that? You know, like we did with the how do people know that the measles vaccine is safe? Like, what are you asking normal people for? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, Casey Means to the rescue. Casey Means, Michael's primary care doctor, has been named Trump's Surgeon General nominee, and it's triggering a pretty big backlash among his supporters. And who can blame them after the clips we just played of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel? Now, after seeing those clips of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, I'm wondering if Michael is going to take that information that he just saw, witnessed with his own eyes, and said, we're getting played. I wonder if he's going to apply that same sort of logic and skepticism to Casey Means. Michael, go.
Oh, I go first. Well, is that in that scenario, is it Casey Means' fault?
I'm sorry, what?
In that scenario that you just described, is it Casey Means' fault, or is she a useful idiot?
Is what her fault?
That she's not delivering 100% of what people want?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are like flip-flopping on like the worst possible stuff, like stuff that people literally went to the ballot box to vote on. Like that's why one of the reasons people voted for Donald Trump. And I'm just wondering if that sort of, you see that now, maybe that inspires a little bit of skepticism about your hero, Casey Means.
Casey Means is not my hero, but I saw this sweet little grandma
doctor.
No, I wish.
I said that too.
I saw this sweet old grandma named Grandma Sandy Lucas. She's Sandy Lucas 1 on X if you want to follow her. And I kind of take her view on this. The practicing MDs who they're criticizing Casey Means for not being have failed us. The whole system of credentialism that they're pushing, including a person that we like on the show, Dr. Bowden, and others, reminds me of what Douglas Murray did on the Joe Rogan podcast, where it's like, you're not an expert, so you can't have this position. And then I get where the skepticism comes from. What your position on COVID was during COVID is important because that was like the big test. But it's not the only factor. I think we should be celebrating this nomination of Casey Means, the Surgeon General. It's a huge improvement to what we've got now, and we should be directing our energy and anger at the real enemies of Americans' health, which do not include Casey Means.
Charles, go.
So I think the thing is, Dr. Bowden and others, they don't fall in that camp that you just mentioned. There are some that do, who are practicing MDs, who are criticizing her simply because she is not a practicing MD. They're criticizing her, yes, including that she's not a practicing MD, but that they put everything on the line and lost everything during those years because they believed in this cause, this medical freedom cause, and they fought alongside of each other. And then now you have someone who did not fight alongside of them. And not only did she not fight alongside of them, but like actively ignored them when they attempted to pull her in. And in many interviews refused to condemn the mRNA vaccine, to say that she'd be interested in pulling it from the schedule. And so it comes down to, somebody put it interestingly, where they were like, for her, it's mRNA is fine for all, but Fruit Loops be damned. Like, as long as there are no Fruit Loops, then we're good. Because when you watch a lot of these interviews with Callie and Casey, they both Callie and Casey.
Casey.
Callie and Casey, they keep doing this thing where they'll mention, like, somebody will bring up the vaccine and they'll be like, yes, but obesity is such a big, and it's like always back to that issue. And so it's like, yes, the food is the problem, but there's so much more to that. And then that is just the tip of the iceberg when you start to look into this. I mean, from Nicole M. Night Shyamalan, she has turned against her.
I got it pulled up.
All right.
You want to pull it up?
Yeah, go ahead, because I've got a lot more.
Okay, let me pull this up. I want to hear what you have to say. Nicole Shamalama Ding Dong. Yes, it's very strange. Doesn't make any sense. I was promised that if I supported RFK Jr. and his Senate confirmation that neither of these siblings would be working under HHS or in an appointment, and that people much more qualified would be. I don't know if RFK very clearly lied to me or what is going on. It has been clear in recent conversations that he is reporting to someone regularly who is controlling his decisions, and it isn't President Trump. With regards to the siblings, there is something very artificial and aggressive about them, almost like they were bred and raised Manchurian assets.
And so she also had an interesting interview with Glenn Beck today where she goes in a little more detail about it. But in terms of the asset part, that's interesting too. A lot of people have been pointing to the fact that they came from this meteoric rise out of nowhere. She wrote this book. There really are very few references in the book. The acknowledgments are at the end of the book. Her father wrote a book about transgenderism. It's a child's book about transgenderism, which they say only sold a handful of copies, and she has distanced herself from that belief. But interesting, he worked for the Rockefellers, their World Economic Forum people. They come from this Silicon Valley world. She runs this biometric startup where obviously being Surgeon General and running this company would, I think, or founding this company rather, would prove beneficial. There's just a lot of stuff there. And I just find it what I'm confused by is that people who question everything are not questioning this. Like, all this stuff is there. And like they just popped on the scene. Like, they just popped on the scene in the past 4 or 5 years. And now she's Surgeon General, but nobody's questioning it. Like, there's like, all right, she's great. And that's what I'm confused by. That's what I don't understand.
Okay, so there's a lot there. First thing I want to point out, I have the Nicole Shanahan tweet here too on my screen, just in case we needed it. She was promised that if she advocated for RFK's nomination, come on, she was advocating for RFK's nomination either way, and she didn't need to be promised anything. So, like, hold your horses, sweetie. I'm a big Nicole Shanahan fan, but like that in and of itself on its face is not true. So I find skepticism there. Are they Manchurian candidates? I mean, that's something right up my wheelhouse. I see what you're saying, but they're so good on food, obesity, health. That's not in alignment with the powers that be in corporate America and big pharma. And they're like,
but Michael,
they're saying Ozempic is like terrible. I mean, that's going to be the biggest cash cow for big pharma for the next 20 years. So I hear that. I think that the two arguments that I have seen that run on all of these criticisms of Casey Means are she doesn't have the credential and she didn't say anything about the COVID shot. I think these people like Dr. Bowden are myopically focused on what her position is on COVID. And I think that's a mistake. I'm not saying it's not important. I didn't get the shot. I'm in the freaking Atlantic magazine as a white dude who won't get the shot. And I did an interview with Derek Thompson in like, I don't know, early 2021 or so. I don't remember when it was. And like I was saying, well, all the reasons I didn't want to get the vaccine. And so I agree with the people who are criticizing her. I just think it's a myopic view. And then, okay, the conspiratorial. Will the vaccine manufacturers win the day? Maybe. Are they better positioned to win the day with Casey Means versus Dr. Bowden? Yes, I agree. But I think that as Surgeon General on the food side, I think we're in a really good position. I'm not saying vaccines aren't important. They are. Okay. I would love to see information come out about whether they're safe or not. I don't know that that's going to happen. And I'm not saying Casey Means is going to deliver that.
Okay. Based on what you just said, I even wrote this down. If we're just talking about the health and wellness aspect of it, that's fine. That's fine. But there's a whole other aspect of the kind of like medical reform movement. But what I was thinking this morning when I was leaving the gym is that she is not. I think the problem is, and I think I'm doing this too, is that the MAGA movement is not the medical freedom movement. Some people in the MAGA movement believe in medical freedom. I think most of medical freedom people are in the MAGA movement, but they are two distinct things. And she's in the MAGA movement and not the medical freedom movement, it seems like. Because I don't think I think big food, like they're going to be mad at her, but I don't think big pharma is going to be too mad at her, or like big tech, big med tech. I don't think they're going to have any problem with her. And it's, of course, you speak out against Ozempic because you're in the health and wellness space. That's an easy one to do. Oh, semaglutide, retatrutide, tirzepatide, you can speak out against those. But even though they're going to be cash cows, as people really pick up on them, but
then who is she a Manchurian candidate for?
I mean, I don't know. I didn't say Manchurian candidate, but I do think that it is interesting how they came up out of seemingly nowhere, and then we're now leaders in this movement.
Is she a Manchurian candidate for the Rockefellers? Is she going to usher in AI overlords, Michael, with her AI tech?
I don't know.
Oh gosh, darn.
I mean, Brad, what's your take? Charles and I just went back and forth. What is your?
What's my take on Casey Means being Surgeon General? I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters at all who they would have picked. We're gonna get the exact. I think the results are if they've been decided, and Casey Means is just the person to carry him out, is what's going on. She owns her company Levels, right? And there's some AI health tracking stuff like that in there, and is she going to be really push that as a Surgeon General, and within the administration, more AI in our lives? Well, I could see that happening. Am I happy about it? Not really. I mean, I prefer the old-fashioned way. I mean, I do wear a Whoop and I track my stuff, but it's not. I could not wear a Whoop and I'm be fine. I don't think that we want more people relying on that. I think people need to find their intuition a little bit more.
Who was the Surgeon General under Biden?
Who was a Surgeon General under Biden?
Kurt. I was actually just reading something from a report. I can't think of his name.
But we don't know. Is Casey Means an improvement?
Probably.
So what, Charles? What is the? I know we got to move on, but I just want to ask, what are the distinct beliefs of of the medical freedom movement other than vaccines?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm like in the medical freedom movement to speak for them, but I think vaccines is a major one in this time period in which we're living. And if that is not one that you're going to be willing to speak out on, then I don't think you are a leader in that movement. RFK melds the two. He speaks out against what he feels are problems with that, as well as food. They distinctly focus on that one topic. And so, yeah, I mean, there was an interview I saw with Callie where he said that that's just not his area, and he wouldn't recommend babies get the vaccine, but wouldn't answer as to whether or not it would be pulled from the schedule. He would not answer that question. And this was old, but he would not answer that question. And so it's just, I in this moment that we're in, given what we just stepped out of, like that is top of mind. Like I get it's not all about vaccines, but like a lot of it is. They were trying to give us like vaccine passports, and we had to carry cards around to go into store. Like that is it's a major thing, and you should probably have a public opinion on it. And a lot of people have been tweeting Casey asking if she would recommend they be pulled. Now that you're being nominated, would you recommend that they be pulled from the schedule for babies? And she has not answered yet. And I think that is a question you should probably answer if you're going to be head of the if you're going to be Surgeon General.
And I think a lot of that onus is on RFK, not on Casey Means.
You don't think he should be on the Surgeon General?
He's got to produce the backing to make that decision. She can't just come in as Surgeon General and be like, all right, I've decided we're going to remove it from the childhood schedule. That's RFK needs to produce the evidence. I think it's out there. I agree with the move. I want him to do it. My baby boy is not vaccinated, not a single one. I'm on board, but this whole directing that all at Casey Means, it seems silly to me.
I think the point is that they want her to take a position. Like, what is your position on it? Not, are you going to go there and do this? Because you might not have the ability to, but where do you stand on it? So at the very least, we know. Like, I think she should have to say, like, where do you stand on this this very commanding and defining issue of our time. As the Surgeon General of the United States, like, where do you stand on that issue?
I think she needs more information. I think that it's a reasonable thing to say she needs more information. And who's pulling Kennedy's strings behind the scenes? It's Senator Bill Cassidy, if you guys are wondering.
Why is it Senator Bill Cassidy? Why do you know?
Because in order to get his nomination, Senator Bill Cassidy's a doctor. He gets lots of pharma money on the right. He's the chairman of the health committee that nominated, and he, in a closed door meeting for hours before he was the holdout vote, extracted a bunch of concessions on behalf of who? I don't know, from RFK to get him through the health committee. So if anybody's talking to him behind the scenes, directing him, saying he can't go towards vaccines, it's Senator Bill Cassidy and his handlers. That's who it is.
At the end of the day, I think the point that you made before about her focus being on the food aspect, I think that is fine. And if that is what the Surgeon General's office for the next couple of years is going to be defined as, okay. I just think that what I don't want is there's this conflation often with like life coaches and therapists, like where you can become a life coach. It's like very easy. You take like a quick course and you're a life coach, and then a lot of them then portray themselves as somewhat therapists. And so I think it's a similar sense. Now, I'm not saying she's not a doctor, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying in terms of the health and wellness space, like she's doing the health and wellness. And so like, that's fine. If that's what you're focused on, great. But like you guys have spoken out on so many of these things, I would expect you to have an opinion on the medical side of it too. But if that's not where you're going to be, then okay, I guess.
I just disagree. I think she has an opinion on the medical side. Medical side is not just vaccines. There's other things. There are other aspects to medicine than just vaccines. If she's a little squishy on vaccines, I don't know that she's squishy.
Point. My point is we can't get an answer. That's what I don't know if she's squishy or not. Because I'm assuming she is because she won't answer, but
that guy.
Senator Bill Cassidy. I didn't know what he looked like. I couldn't have picked that guy out of a lineup.
That's how they like him.
Oh boy. That's not what they want. They will like fame and power and all stuff.
And then the last point, 70% of American kids are obese.
70%?
I don't know what the number is. What's the number?
I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised. 70%, like not
70% obese would be surprising. 70% overweight would not be surprising.
I think it's easier for kids to be obese because of how short they are. So like I feel like they kind of tip over into that scale.
Well, a lot of kids are obese. Ignore my 70%. A lot of kids are obese. I think that is if you had to rank the issues in priority order, I'm putting that one above vaccines.
Well, I'll say with the advent, or not even advent, but expansion of GLP-1s, I doubt that's going to remain an issue in the next 15 years. Like I really feel like.
You feel like people, like kids are not going to be obese because they're going to get on the Ozempics?
I mean,
we're going to have worse problems.
Yeah.
There's more things than Ozempic. There are, a million things, but I do think that, you're going to start seeing more of that and you're going to see a reduction in obesity, I would assume.
Instead of Ozempic, why are Americans so obsessed with protein? Blame MAGA. Subheadline from the Liver King to the podcast bros. Welcome to BCM, guys. Am I right? To RFK Jr.'s MAHA constituents, those are moms, but whatever. America's infatuation with protein has reached a fever pitch, and it's undeniably gendered. And there's a picture of Liver King, Michael's idol, Huberman, who says going outside is healthy according to science. Thank you, sir. I didn't know that. I don't know who this guy is, and that's me, I think, right there. So Vanity Fair is saying that protein eating is now not only gendered, which I think is maybe fair. There's I think there are studies that show that red meat is associated with men. Men like red meat more. But now it's political. Protein eating is political. So I think that people might read this, and I don't know if they're trying to say, hey, if you don't want to be a right-wing podcast bro like Joe Rogan, you think that he's a danger to democracy, for instance, if you don't like RFK Jr. because he's going to murder children by suggesting that they do some more studies on vaccines, then you need to stop eating protein. Otherwise, you might be right-wing. And I don't know what that's going to do to a lot of men. That doesn't sound good. That sounds like you're going to harm people, Vanity Fair. People need protein. Charles, go.
I mean, yeah, of course they do. I mean, it's ridiculous when you read that article at the end. It's like the rise of the men's rights movement and our lust for protein. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it's so stupid. And I mean, but it follows a trend of what they're seeing is young men who are this kind of new gym culture that has gone away after the 90s and kind of reemerged in recent years, who then supported Trump this most recent election cycle. They're trying to lob all that in together. And it's just not. Like, people go to the gym because they go to the gym. People eat protein because they eat protein. And so to try to turn this into some sort of political statement is just a little ridiculous.
I want to hear Brad's take because he's probably the best educated on this of all of us. So I'll just give you my 30-second spiel here. I think the answer to their question is it's twofold. One, this is a countercultural. There is a countercultural element to this, which is the perception, the pushing for the last 20, 25 years of veganism, vegetarianism for environmental and animal cruelty and health reasons, which I actually think there are some legitimate concerns there. But that was being pushed on the culture. And this is the opposite reaction. And it happens to fall on the right because the perception of that movement was that it was lefties, right? And then the second thing is there's emerging evidence that if you combine a healthy lifestyle, exercise, good sleep, those things with a good diet, not just eating $6 burgers from Carl's Jr., and you increase your protein intake, you actually you can increase your longevity, ability to live longer. So I think it's those two factors that are kind of the right wing Joe Rogan sphere are grabbing onto. And I think that that's why this is more prominent on the right.
Yeah, they really don't like that Joe Rogan fella. I don't get it, but whatever. That's fine. He's just too darn popular, too effective, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was looking it up, and the average American man in any given day eats an average of 96 grams of protein, about 16% of their calories from protein, and probably a ton from sugars and other bullshit, and probably a little bit from fat too. But 96 grams of protein is not a lot. Even if you have a sedentary lifestyle, you could probably eat more protein, and you'd probably lose weight if you did. If you replaced the sugars and everything like that, just eat more meat and stuff like that. And I just can't. You need protein to build muscle. Muscle is longevity. Your fitness, your athletic abilities are a great indicator of your overall health, and you need high quality protein to do that. Protein is so essential to so many different pathways in your body, the amino acids, building bones, metabolic health, all sorts of stuff. And I don't know why they hate us so much. They want us to die.
I mean, I think it's just I think they tapped into this again. They saw the movement. They see that there is a shift towards it, and it's a way for them to further demonize. I mean, I also think it feeds into kind of like the left's demonization of like masculinity as well and all that other stuff too. I mean, you see it in so many different areas, and so I think it just feeds into it.
But there are climate change, environmental motivations here to get people to stop eating meat as well.
Yeah,
it's not that's been being pushed for quite a while now.
Yeah, but this specifically, they're not even talking about like meat. They're just talking about protein. Like in that article, she goes to talk about like protein extract and protein powder and this and that. Like, it's not even about meat. It's just like protein, exercise, and health. And it's
oh my God.
I don't understand
How dare people?
They want us to get on that Franken meat, the lab meat. Charles, you gonna eat lab meat? You gonna do that, Charles? Are you gonna eat lab meat when it comes out?
Probably not.
That wasn't very convincing. It sounds like you might be in line to buy some.
I mean, I've not thought much about it. I don't think I'd be that concerned. It probably wouldn't taste as good as real meat, so probably not. But I'm not like deeply concerned about it. But if anything, this article and this whole concept should apply more to you guys because you guys are both carnivores. So
Michael's not carnivore. What the fuck are you talking about? He keeps like gross nut butters in his office.
I'm not carnivore, no, but I do.
Why did I think you were?
I do consume probably 200 grams of protein a day.
Ugh,
that's a lot.
All right, fellas, that's an hour. There's only one thing we didn't get to, and that's okay because I don't think y'all would have liked it anyway. But for all our listeners out there, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. We have a lot of fun doing this. We hope that you had fun too. Please subscribe and share with friends and click the notifications. We got lots of shorts. If you comment on them, I will comment at you back. I promise. I'll do it. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
See you next time.